Let's take a look at the history of Southeast Missouri and Southern Illinois through recreated photos from past to present day. I'll take historic photos and recreate those photos with modern day video to show the contrast of what things used to be like and what they are now. My name is Morgan and I'm an independent filmmaker who enjoys history. And today we are going to look at some historic floods.
So the reason I chose these photos was, one, we're so used to flooding here in Cape, so it's really relatable. And two, seeing someone canoeing and fishing on Main Street is just an odd sight to see.
So let's start out with Spanish Street. I'm not sure what businesses were here during the time of this photo. I will say the far left building in the year 2023 is an antique shop, and I used it as a reference point. Overall, this lined up pretty well. If not this flood, it was another flood in the 50s that led to the development of the flood wall, which was started in 1956 and completed in 1964, which is capable of holding back the river at a 54-foot flood stage. On this next photo, this one was confusing because the main buildings you see today are two-storied, but in the book Historic Cape Girardeau, An Illustrated History, it states that the photo was taken on South Main Street in front of F.W. Woolworths, which I know for a fact was there. Overall, this one was pretty easy to recreate and it turned out pretty well. The Woolworths building is currently vacant and has been for some years. This is shot in front of the same Woolworths building, but it did lead to some confusion. I originally thought this photo was taken in front of the Hecht building because of the glass showcase, as you can see here. So I had to recreate this one multiple times. With this photo of Old St. Vincent's Church, I couldn't find a date. I am proud to say though that this recreation lined up nearly perfectly, as you will see later on in this video. Cape Girardeau naturally has a long history of flooding. According to the Missouri State Archives, no other kind of natural disaster has caused more death and destruction than floods. I found that interesting because I would have thought tornadoes would have been the most destructive. But before the river wall was built in 1964, it was not such an uncommon occurrence. Some of the major floods prior to the flood wall include 1913, 1927, 1943, and 1951. The massive property and infrastructure damage led to the flood wall being built, highlighting the vulnerability of the small river town. In a way, we have a love-hate relationship with the river. This town wouldn't exist without it, but it can be a major disruptor. The flood wall is the guardian angel to the downtown area, especially in 2016 when the river reached a record-setting crest of 48.86 feet, leaving the levee system with just over 5 feet to spare.
I think the key point here is that the Mississippi, not just for Cape Girardeau, but all river towns, the Mississippi is responsible for not only the birth, but the growth of these places. I mean, this was essentially what Interstate 55 was today. And it's just essentially the lifeblood of the city. But at the same time, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. It is responsible for a lot of the damage of the property, infrastructure, and farmland. And we have a loud train in the background, so we're going to try to work past that. But anyways, tune in for more. We're going to do some more interesting spots in not only Cape, but hopefully in the surrounding areas, specifically Cairo. And I think the next project I'll do in Cape is maybe Hawk Stadium, but just tune in for more and we'll just go with the flow, I suppose.